The Rochester Press Box is brought to you by Salvatore's at the Garage Door, 49 Ridge Road East in Irondequoit, Rochester's Choice winner for Best Pizzeria, featuring Wacky Wing Wednesday and the Super Slice. It's as big as your head. The games are always on at the Garage Door, home to the Rochester Press Box. Hello everyone and welcome to the Rochester Press Box here from Salvatore's Pizzeria at the Garage Door Restaurant in Irondequoit. I'm Bill Pucko, and joined this week by Toby Motyka, 13 WHAM News, Fox Rochester. Back, yeah. I tried to introduce you as his boss last week and got a laugh, so I'll try it again. And his boss, Mike Catalana.
Well, he's my boss this week. How's that?
Very nice, a promotion. And Keith Friel is back with us, the assistant coach of the Rochester Razorsharks. Thanks for coming back, Keith. Look, we'll go right into a basketball topic. The whole Mount Rushmore is kind of a fun thing. It did batted around about a year ago. You know, people talking about the best four of the various sports. It came up again. LeBron's Mount Rushmore, best four, Oscar Robertson he put on there, and then Bill Russell jumped in and said, I belong on that because I win championships. That whole thing between winning championships and accomplishing something on an individual basis in a game like basketball, what's more important?
I mean, he didn't just say it like that. I love the way he came out and said, Mr. James, so you know, back-to-back high school championships, 2 in college, and then 1 his rookie year, and to end his NBA career and sandwich 9 in between. When he said that, you can be etched in stone, Mr. James. He's the all-time winner. I mean, you have to go with championships. That's what's said and done. I mean, Charles Barkley even tell you to this day, he can't hold a candle to those guys during that era because he did not get that championship. Now, granted, he put up huge numbers, and probably in those numbers he's putting up in maybe this day and age, he would be an MVP.
But the guy's name who always comes up, though, the antithesis of that is Charles Barkley. I mean, you can still be a great player and not win, right?
You can definitely be a great player, but you're not considered the ultimate, because he couldn't get to that level. Even those great Suns teams, right? He had Jordan and his Thorn. He just couldn't, even at his highest level, elevate his team. And Barkley's still to be one of the greatest power forwards of all time in terms of numbers and statistics, and loved watching him. Mm-hmm. But in terms of an all-time great, if you're going to talk about Rushmore, Barkley hasn't even sniffed that.
Yeah.
I'm taking a shot here, and maybe take a shot from 2 Boston apologists I have next to me, I think, at least for the Celtics. Bill Russell, all-time great winner. He deserves that. He was the winner. He's not one of the 4 greatest players of all time. I don't think anybody evaluating basketball as a player would put him as one of the all-time 4 greats. He is a great winner. He deserves that. Now, he also was surrounded by Hall of Fame talent. You could argue that he made that talent Hall of Famers. He's an all-time winner. He's not an all-time great player. And in the era when he played, he won 1 series in most years and then got to the championship. Mm-hmm. Now, they were still the best, the all-time best. And you go ahead, take that little shot at LeBron and say all that. But I would say if there's one thing that's difficult to take a shot at LeBron, it's talking to him about being a team player. Because I believe of all the great players of all time, he's the most unselfish of all the great players. Right up there with Magic Johnson. And I think he's a better player than Magic Johnson. Not a better winner because Magic's got more titles, but a better player.
Here's the thing about LeBron, the book's still incomplete. I mean, the guy's still got quite a few good years left, probably in his prime, and then a few years after that, who knows how many championships he ends up with. Yes, year 1 was the big 3. Year 2 was probably the big 1.25. Dwayne Wade had half of a knee, and Chris Bosh hung out on the perimeter the whole time. That was James's team, and you can argue the first one was too. I want to see, when all is said and done, how many rings this guy has. Because if he has 4 or 5, how do you keep him off of that Mount Rushmore when all is said and done?
I'm not disagreeing or disparaging his game whatsoever. Yeah. No one can. When it's all said and done, he is going to be one of the greatest of all time. What I'm saying is at the time, too, and why he had to be so unselfish is his game wasn't and isn't complete still with a jump shot. So he knows he can't rely on that. If he had a Durant-type jumper, then it would be a little different. Now, Durant's obviously shown and gotten better with his age, too. He's passing the ball. He's got more assists than he's ever had. He's a more complete player. I think LeBron's getting there. His jumper's getting there. But in terms of being unselfish, no one's ever accused him of being selfish.
But I'm just trying to establish some balance. More than establish who was on Rushmore, the winner versus the player. Robert Horry, right?
Yeah.
7 titles?
Right. But he wasn't the main guy in those titles, but he was a winner. Look, if it was about winning, not all-time greats, it would be Franklin Roosevelt, not Teddy Roosevelt on Mount Rushmore. 4-time winner, right?
He's my favorite.
Oh, there you
my
go.
personal favorite. and I knew him well. When we return, we'll talk about the New York Yankees. Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box here from the Garage Door Restaurant on East Ridge Road in Irondequoit. Bill with Toby, Mike, and Keith. The New York Yankees. There's a lot to talk about. The over-under, it surprised me, was, Michael, 83 and a half, which puts them 4 games over 500. Is that about what they are?
I think it's not surprising that's where Las Vegas put them. I'm going to take the over because I think the Yankees have a very good regular season team. I think they'll win a lot of games. Again, it's going to be tough to win in that division. That division is stacked again. But I can see the Yankees winning 88, 89 games. I think that's probably a good number to throw at them, but I think they will be a very good regular season team as we've seen in the past.
It seems low, but it would be unusual for Vegas to come in low with an over-under number on the Yankees.
It does seem a little low, but they do still have a lot of questions. You don't know about the injury concerns. Their infield has the range of a boulder in a plain state. It's just, they can't get to anything. When your first baseman is your best fielder in the infield, you might have problems throughout the season. And who's going to close their games? Robertson's tried that before. He didn't do well. Rivera's gone. I'm still taking the over, but not by much. Not in that division where Baltimore is going to be better than they were last year. You know, Tampa can pitch, and Boston, well, they're pretty good too.
Yeah, they have Tampa. I guess they have Tampa finishing a game ahead of Boston and over-under in the Yankees third. Keith, what do you take away from the Derek Jeter retirement?
I think he's the ultimate professional. And even as a Sox fan, I know they're finishing at Fenway. I'm looking forward to that. The one thing I hope for him is that he does stay healthy this year. I know as a purist of the game, he did everything right. And you got to respect his professionalism. And I'm looking forward to, I'm hoping and praying that, he's coming back full throttle and is able to make it through most of the season so that all of us can appreciate, the career and give him his just due.
Timed it right and sort of did the team a favor, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, I think so, too. It's a little surprising. You mean him saying that when he did? Because that's very un-Jeter-like, to draw even more attention to himself. He draws attention because he's Derek Jeter, but it's usually not by his words. It's just because he's Derek Jeter. But I think it'll be a good thing. I think it's a good thing. The other thing is, I don't think he wanted, to Keith's point about trying to stay healthy, let's say this year he wasn't healthy or didn't play particularly well and then was done. It would almost look like he was getting shoved out the door. Everybody knows no matter what he does this year, he's going to be done.
Now, we started over-unders, and 17 games is what Jeter played last year. What's the over-under on him appearing in games, you think, this year?
I think he's going to appear in a lot of games. I think he'll DH a lot. I think there'll be a percentage. And I also think there's going to be times when they use him as a pinch hitter late in games because I do think Joe Girardi is going to be conscious of the fact there are people coming in that stadium for the last, maybe the only time they want to come and see Derek Jeter play. Be a real shame. Picture you got tickets to go see the Yankees and you didn't see Derek Jeter in his last year. So I think he's going to make some of those appearances. But as long as they DH him and he plays, 115 games at shortstop, maybe something like that, DHs for another 30 somewhere in that range, I think that's what we'll see.
Sounds about right. I think the over-under is going to end up about half of a season, but I'd be shocked if he didn't play more than that. Just because, like you said, they'll find ways to keep him on the field, whether it's just as a hitter or whether it's as the shortstop of the team or whether it's coming in late. He'll get to do this on his own terms. If he wants to start and play shortstop, he's going to be their best option at that position. They'll let him start. But if he's hurting a little bit, he should be smart about it and make sure he gets to play as many games as he can.
How tasty is a Fenway finish game?
What's that? Oh, that's a fan's dream. How cool is it to say you were there with your family, your friends when you saw Jeter's last game at Fenway, of the famed rivalry. And I just think it's going to be a great. I think he saw the way everybody treated Mo Rivera his last year, and just gave him his just due, and just going around is like, I'm not. And he even said it, the passion, it's not there when he woke up every day. He's like, I don't want that grind anymore. And he's earned it.
And Rivera surprised us, and he was so gracious with the accepting of all these things. Yeah. I see Jeter being made very uncomfortable in a lot of cities.
I agree with you. And we saw that different side of Rivera, but when it came out, you could tell that was there. I don't know if it's there in Jeter. I think that's what he is. He's become this low-key guy. Of course, we know there's another side to Jeter that maybe he's a little different when he's not playing baseball in that way, but he talks
what are you alluding to?
Oh no, he seems to enjoy himself outside of playing baseball.
And
for
you
the
don't
New
think
York
that there
Yankees.
aren't some franchises out there that might jump on the opportunity to get creative in their farewell?
You don't have to get creative, just get him a gift basket.
Alrighty, like it or not, when we return. Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box here from Salvatore's Pizzeria at the Garage Door Restaurant, East Street Road in Irondequoit. Wacky Wings Wednesday. We have live music every Friday. Great menu, and it's a tremendous sports bar. They have the hockey game on and turn the sound up, which is always the demarcation line for me. Like it or not, Toby, we just came off the Yankees. How about parting shots on Cano?
I don't ever like parting shots. I don't like it at all. We all knew for the last, 6 years that this guy doesn't always run hard to first. Sometimes he's lackadaisical on ground balls up the middle. He just relies on being smooth and being talented. But I just never like it. They talked about wanting to re-sign him. They talked about wanting to keep him there. And now that he's gone, little kidney punch right in the side.
From a coach, no less.
Right. Not that he's wrong, and what he said was true, but I still don't like coming out in public with that when the guy's not on the team anymore.
What do you think about shots after the fact?
Honestly, I just think this is way overblown. He's in Seattle now. He's got a different chapter going. It was probably taken out of context, a joking or yeah, he didn't run hard to the first base anyway. Like, oh, we all knew that. And next thing you know, it's everywhere. Guys get, crushing him. Really? He's out in Seattle. He's got his whole life going. Now they're trying to, spark this up because the Battle of the Griffey coming back from 94, 95 to hype up the Mariners, Yankees. I think it's just another media angle to try to get it going. It's really overblown.
His new manager didn't help him much, though, did he?
No, he's already saying.
What's the big deal? I'd run 60% sometimes. What's the difference between 60 and 80? Just say, we got him now. We're looking forward to having him here.
And you know what? Long, the hitting coach, took one shot at him, incredibly accurate shot at him being lazy, if you're saying it, or whatever the phrase he used. But he also said that guys talked to him about it, including Jeter, talked to him about it, if nothing else, a perception. But in that same article, he talked about what a great hitter he was, how he filled all the holes in his game, tremendous player. And I'm sure he would have liked to have him back as his second baseman, hitting .320 and knocking in whatever. But that's the truth. And are we so protective of these guys that when someone actually tells the truth, we want to kill them for it? I don't care if it was a parting shot. It was in part of 90% positive, 10% negative.
Keith, like it or not, Rick Pitino said this week that social media poisons the mind. You're around these guys all the time. Any truth to that?
I think what he was getting at was that they're too focused because especially college kids, they're bombarded left and right. And now you have, especially in a town like Kentucky, in Louisville, Kentucky, they're split. You got your red and blue bloods down there, and you either have Louisville or you have Kentucky fans, and there's no in between. And what happens is, these guys are out in town at Applebee's, and whatever can be misconstrued is just blown up left and right. And then fans can hide behind Twitter and tweet at these guys left and right. And right now, on average, it's what they say. They say the guys are on there at least 7 hours a day. Twitter, Facebook, everything, Vine. So these people can just take, pot shots at them left and right. And you got a 19-year-old college kid who's not used to this, reading all this negative stuff. And it does affect these kids in a negative way. And I can understand where Patino's coming from because, one, he's making what, $4.5 million? He needs to protect his product. Guys, you're getting off this stuff. Like, you're coming out here, you have a bad game, now you got to hear about it left and right. There's no getting away from it these days.
But you almost can't do it, right? It's a generational thing.
The technology's not going away. This is here to stay. There are people, and this generation, especially growing up, going to have to learn to deal with it. They are going to hear from the public, which is why the whole thing that happened with Smart, with the fan in the stands, and hearing all these people talk about it in the fans, I'm thinking, that has gone on forever. How many times you've been screamed at during a game, some crazy thing somebody's
Every
saying?
game.
Every game you get that. The social media part of it allows them to get to you. The difference is he can't do anything in a game. You can do anything. You can do it social media. Shut the phone off or don't pay attention to it or don't take them so seriously.
Yeah, like it or not, how about Winter Olympics, Mike? You've been watching it all?
Again, I watch some. I like the hockey. I'm not anti-American when I say this. I don't really like the Olympics that much. I watch. I appreciate the athletes. I hope they win. The downhill's cool. I like the luge, when I watch a little bit. But I'm not sitting there going, it's an NBC thing, which is probably part of it because we're so restricted for what we can show. Mm-hmm. I'll be happy when everybody's coming home. How's that?
It doesn't help that you have to make an effort to not know what you're about to see. Like, I have to try to avoid the results before I watch it. I don't like that at all.
One thing got me, though, the snowboard cross. Did anybody watch snowboard cross?
Yeah, it's crazy.
They line them up 6, they race them down the hill all together on a snowboard. That's awesome.
What would be interesting for the Olympics is to actually hear what Putin really thinks, especially when the Russian hockey team loses. Lee's going to schedule his own shootout with the coach, but that was very different. after
All righty
they
then.
lost.
Unfinished business when we return. We are back at the Rochester Press Box from Salvatore's Pizzeria at the wonderful and historic Garage Door Restaurant. Unfinished business. Toby.
I want to talk about Syracuse basketball, and fans have very good reason to be excited here. Cuse is number one, they've stayed number one, and they just keep winning. But these last couple games against Pittsburgh, against NC State, even Cuse fans might admit they got a little lucky. And I start seeing on Twitter, team of destiny. We need to be real here. A home win against North Carolina State on a last-second layup on a turnover isn't destiny. Good play, it got a little lucky. At the end of the day, what's going to matter to Syracuse is a deep NCAA tournament run and, frankly, an appearance in the Final Four and hopefully a national championship. This team is going to have to be better than they've been recently, and I'm going back before these last two games as well, if they want to make a deep run into March and maybe even play on that last weekend.
I hate the old concept, the whole concept of a team of destiny. I just don't think they exist.
Nice shot by Ennis, and a good play by Fair and Christmas, but at the end of the day, that's not going to happen against Duke
Yeah.
or even Arizona late in the NCAA tournament. It's not going to happen.
Thanks, Toby. Keith?
I'm actually, I'm going to touch upon that just briefly. When people start using the destiny going around, you start to think, Mother Nature, how is Duke Carolina getting canceled out of all? And now, Cuse is going to be playing at Duke 2 days after that Carolina rivalry. You can start to question some things there. But in terms of Cuse getting that loss, I think that at least that first loss is going to be at UVA on March 1st. They're playing UVA, the alma mater. Get them going. They're hot right now, 13-1. So I think they're going to get knocked, and to be honest, I think that might help Cuse. They got to go down and touch that, have that sense of adversity. They've been blessed right now. UVA's playing their best basketball of the season. Coach Bennett's got them rolling, and that's just going to roll into championship week, which is my favorite week. When you get the small conferences, they start at 11 in the morning. You got the Northeast Conference, and especially now when you don't have as many NBA players at the big schools, we're going down. Anything can happen, and this year especially. I mean, I can see a 14 seed going all the way to the Elite Eight. Yeah. It's not that far fetched.
All right, Mike.
This week, the Phillies signed A.J. Burnett to a contract, a one-year deal. He pitched pretty well in Pittsburgh last year, and the Phillies gave him about $15 million. Now, A.J. Burnett has been a good Major League Baseball pitcher. His time with the Pirates and before that with the Yankees and back to the Marlins where he has been. He has made more than $150 million in his career as a pitcher. That is more than I believe at the moment only 12 players in the history of the NFL have ever made at their position. The reason I bring this up is because what Major League Baseball has above all other sports certainly is the money and the guaranteed contracts. This is my message to the NFL and the NFL Players Association. I love that they're trying to support their players from injury. I love that they came out for Michael Sam and his position now coming into the NFL. But if you want to do the best thing for your players in your sport, get some guaranteed contracts. I know that's a word that scares fans all the time. Guaranteed deals, guys won't play as hard. But when A.J. Burnett, a slightly above average player, has made $150 million guaranteed. There's a lot of football players putting a lot more risk out there that don't make even a tenth of that in their careers. I think something needs to change. Good for you, AJ. The NFL needs to step up.
No, you like the fact that he tips his hat when he comes off after a good effort, though.
That's
He is
worth
the most.
$15 million.
Well,
He also
Maybe it
punches
is.
Gatorade coolers after a bad effort.
Was the Super Bowl really just, it was less than a month ago. It seems so much longer. Since then, I've seen 2 movies at the movie theater and finished 3 books, only one of which was a sports book. It was a Johnny Antonelli biography when I learned that George Twinkletoes Selkirk, the guy who replaced Babe Ruth in right field when Ruth was released by the Yankees, played his high school ball at Jefferson, which was pretty amazing. The thing is that coming off the Rochester Razorsharks game, which I attended to on Monday, I went by my favorite usher, Alan Pellegrino, who whispered to me, it says, just 50 days till the baseball season. It seems so much farther off than that. The Rochester Press Box is recorded here at the Garage Door Restaurant every Wednesday at 12:30. We invite you to come down, watch the show, have a little lunch. It's a great menu and a great place to hang out for a little while. Toby, thank you very much. Mike, Keith, as always,
having me, Bill.
thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week in the Rochester Press Box.